This is Bold TV.
Hello. Good morning, beautiful people out there. Today is another Saturday morning, and we are here once again on Bold TV to inform you, educate you, and on this lifestyle episode, a bit of entertainment is up for grabs. Today we are talking about travel. I don't know about you, but I love traveling. I love, seeing new places, visiting new places. So today we'll be talking about travel. So join us as we talk about this interesting topic. Let's take a trip. Let's go. Before we move on, I'm going to allow my fellow travelers who are here with me, my co-passengers on this trip, to introduce themselves before we move on to, the topic for the day. I just want to use this opportunity to say thank you to all of you who tune in every Saturday to, listen to us, who drop your comments, who reach out via email or Facebook or any of the social media platforms. Thank you so much for always, contributing in one way or another. And I ask that you will continue to partner with us to ensure that the messages we pass here, get to a wider audience. So let's move on to our topic. Our topic says, let's take a trip. Many persons with disabilities, when you talk about travel, they're like, oh, that's not me. They use it's more often than not as an excuse to be, redundant. But there's a beautiful world out there to explore and to enjoy. And so today we are going to bring out, talk about how you can actually go out there, enjoy what is available out there in a way that does not endanger you and in a way that ensures that you have fun. So I will allow my co-passengers on this trip to introduce themselves.
Thank you very much, Afyong. Feels good to be back. Good morning, everybody. I hope somebody misses me though. Well, I miss everybody, the ladies, our viewers, our fans out there. I miss everybody and it feels so good to be back. My name is Oluwatomi Olatayo. Okay, so now I'm no longer a DFM, now Olatayo. I'm based in Abeokuta, the state capital of Ogun. I'm a broadcast journalist, a sound engineer, a disability and gender rights advocate. Feels good to be here again. Thank you.
Welcome back, and a new mom at that. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back. It's good to have you here with us.
Hi, everyone. My name has not changed. It's still Frankie Andrew Essien.
Please appreciate.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Frankie Andrew Essien. I'm based in Port Harcourt in River State. I'm the leader of Faker Foundation, a member of Bold Hearts Initiative, and I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies. I remain Osaki Teresa George. I reside in Port Harcourt, River State, work with Faker Foundation, member of Bold Hearts Initiative, polio warrior, still an advocate, and I love to be an advocate. I'm just glad to be here.
Welcome. And now for our guests for today, please introduce yourself.
Hello, distinguished ladies. It's so good to see you all here again. Okay, I'm Kelechi Uhegu. I'm a lab scientist and a makeup artist. And of course...
Your type of disability?
Yes, a media personality. I am a wheelchair user as a result of poliomyelitis.
All right. I even forgot you're my colleague. We'll talk about lab things later. All right, welcome to the show. Okay, my name, I am your host for today, the driver of this vehicle, and my name is Afyong. It's anybody who does not abide by my rules, I'll drop them by the roadside. I'm a medical lab scientist. I'm based in Uyo. I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury, and it is great to be here this morning. So now let's dive in. Let's start the road trip. So ladies, my first question is, when you hear travel, I know for me, it gives me tingles and I'm like excited. But when you hear travel, what does that do for you? What goes on in your mind when you hear the word travel? Or maybe, you're looking forward to a trip. What goes on in your mind?
Okay, so when I hear travel, it's a lot of excitement as well as trepidation for me, or mainly excitement. I'm excited because I'm about to experience something away from the norm, and then trepidation because of the unknown, uncertainties that may meet me with respect to peculiarities that I have as a woman using a wheelchair. So, but mostly, of course, the thrill of travel supersedes the trepidation. Else, I would likely not do anything. So yeah, those are the two emotions that come to me immediately. There's an opportunity, the excitement, the looking forward to, but at the same time, like, what will I go and see that? So it's a mix of feelings, but more of excitement.
Wow. I can relate, yes, but the excitement definitely trumps the fear, because you're like, okay, whatever, well, let's just go. All right, Tommy, since you japan and came back, tell us, when you hear travel, how is it?
Okay, so traveling for me is excitement all through. Okay, so I remember someone once looked at me in a very funny way when the person was going through my CV, and as part of my hobbies, I put in traveling, and the person was like, a blind person. I said, ask now, ask the way you wanted to ask. Don't just say a blind person, traveling. So for me, traveling is fun, it's exciting. You need to see me when I'm stepping out of my house alone, let alone, going on a journey. If I'm stepping out of the house alone, it feels refreshing. I feel excited to be living, whatever is disturbing me or whatever I'm doing at the moment, to go out, to see even old places that, I've been to. So it's all of the excitement for me.
So, Kelechi, what I want to ask you is, for you, what are some essentials that a woman with disability specifically, because we are, for our program, we are gender specific. So what are some essentials that a woman with disability should have or must have on her whenever, she's thinking of taking a trip? You can share the ones that are essential for you, and then generally.
Okay, thank you so much. Apart from the things you want to travel with, like your clothes and other stuff, it's important that in your handbag, you have to probably carry a wetting bowl, like something you can quickly pee in, and then water, so that you can quickly throw out and rinse off. Do you get? Because the toilets, for instance, might not be modified for our peculiarities. Do you get? Then, of course, your tissue, personal tissue, your intimate wipe, like your baby wipe. Then, of course, hand sanitizer. Then a small body spray or something, so that you smell good, even though you've been through all of those within a short time. Yes, that's the basic for now. Then a small first aid kit, if you can afford one. You have this mini one you could just throw in your handbag. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Wow. When you mentioned toilets, I think that's part of the trepidation part of traveling, because you go out there and you don't know what, facilities are available, not when you get there and then you have a need, maybe a bathroom need, and then you can't, help yourself. That's the part that is scary. Osaki, can you share a few tips?
For me, I would say I check my assistive device, like my crutches. I make sure it's okay and handy, clean and neat. Then I check also, especially the distance, like how long I'm going to be out. So I know the things to carry. Like, for example, if it's a road journey, I need to get like these pants that you can wear and throw. It's not what you wash, hair, those kind of stuff. Then a bag whereby your necessary things you will use, like what Kelechi just said, of your tissue, little perfume and everything. I try not to drink water because water is one problem that I don't want to come down. Even on air too, because I know I once used necessary place in the on air before and it never went funny. So I tried not to drink water. I don't even take anything, so that I don't move up and down. So that once I've entered the vehicle or the plane or I'm driving, I know that it's one-way ticket. So I just try to be conscious of my environment, check my assistive device, make sure I have the basic things I need as I'm traveling. So I won't be looking for needs or wants. Thank you.
Okay. Well, those tips are quite sound, and I think your whatever preparations you're making has to be, suit your peculiar needs, because disabilities differ. There are different types of disabilities, so you know your peculiar needs and you prepare. One key thing I want to add to that is don't wait until the day of your trip. In fact, start preparing days ahead. Start putting those little things together. Get the bag packed little by little, whatever you remember, or make a list of what you know you will need, because with a list you can't go wrong. Write out a list of the things you know you will need or may need, and then always take extras. Don't assume, I'll be there for 2 days or 3 days. Anything can happen. So make sure you're prepared for emergencies. Get information about where you are going to as much as you can. Get information so that you know what to expect when you get there. Just before we move on, Tomisin, as a blind person, is there any peculiar, tip?
Talking about assistive devices, it's easy for blind persons to forget their assistive device or not want to take it along. And this has to do with a lot of us as women. We are the ones who have that shakara in us. And I used to tell people that do not leave your white cane, your guide cane, do not leave it at home. Because, that's your means of mobility, your means of identification. And so you don't need to begin to explain to yourself, to everybody you meet on the way or everybody you come across in the vehicle, that you're a blind person. As long as you are having your white cane with you, it's easy to identify and relate with your peculiar needs. So, and even if you are going with a guide, some of us will make that mistake. Say, I have a human guide, I don't need it again. No, you need it. What if the human guide needs to excuse his or herself? What if they need to step away from you for a bit and you are left all alone? What if you want to do something private and you do not want whoever is your human guide to be aware or to come too close to comfort? So your white cane is something that we cannot, if you like, you can make it fashionable. You can brand it. Maybe that would also help to enhance your not dropping it or not wanting to walk around without it. So I think that's one thing that, as a visually impaired person, it's easy for you to, let me just leave it here, but you need to just take it along. Your fare. Now, when talking about your fare, when you're leaving home with money, for instance, carry enough. So for instance, you make inquiries, they tell you, the fare to Oyo State is 3,000 naira. Please go with 5,000 naira. It's easy for us as persons with disabilities to want to, I've seen instances where drivers will not want to pick you because they've had experiences with other persons with disabilities, and maybe when it's time to board, then they now begin to play the disability card, and so some of these drivers are quick to be angry, they are quick to want to, not allowing you on their vehicle because they believe that when you come in now, you not pay. Or when you want to pay, you not pay as much as whatever fare they are charging. So it's not a nice thing to want to travel and then you want to play the disability card on, whoever is helping you commute. So hold your fare and hold enough.
I think that should be the motto. Be prepared. Don't just assume that when I get there, what will happen. Be prepared for anything that can come up. What are some of the challenges that women with disabilities face when it comes to travel? We've talked about, it's exciting, we look forward to, going to new places, but we've also mentioned that there's that sense of, anxiety and some fear about, what to expect. So what are some challenges?
if I'm traveling in Lagos or if I'm traveling within Lagos or outside the country, it's easy. The people usually have things in place for people with disabilities. Okay, like there's this. It's when I'm within Lagos or outside the country, it's easier to cope. But when I have to travel outside of Lagos within Nigeria, I begin to have anxiety because, first of all, the flights I'll need to take probably are not prepared for people of my peculiarity. Accessibility, especially the hospitality, because some of these people sometimes act like they're doing you a favor. So some of them are quite rude, and some really want to help, but they do not know how to help. Okay, so these are the kind of things I get to face. So sometimes, maybe when I'm having mood swing, yes, of course I do have mood swing sometimes, I'll end up screaming at all of these people, and then somehow they find a way around it. So it's not like I have my own problems when I have to travel to other states apart from Lagos in Nigeria. I think that's where my own problem is. Accessibility, accessibility, dignified flying, the way I'm being treated. And then some other people that just don't want to even carry me. They don't want to know. You get, that's it.
Thank you. See that flying matter? It's not even flying alone. The road matter too. We'll come to that. Frecky, please. What are some challenges that women with disabilities face when it comes to travel or going on a trip?
Okay, thank you very much. So I think one of the challenges that women with disabilities face is lack of preparation, because there is an assumption that when they see me, they will know what to do, or when I get there, I'll figure it out. But the reality is that disability travel is not the same as regular travel. There is a high level of planning that is involved, or else you can have a miserable outing. So for you to travel, you must begin your preparation and planning. Like, you should get to that destination through the internet. You should get to that destination before your physical body reaches that destination. So you have to make series and series of calls to establish a lot and kind of ask for what is available. So I see a lot of times lack of preparation. For example, you book a flight, a domestic flight, for example, and maybe out of carelessness, you do not read to see what the policies are for that airline with respect to what they do with persons with disabilities. And then you have challenges. I've seen instances where some airlines, even in country, have indicated boldly in their website that they do not carry passengers with disabilities. Now, it will be in your best interest not to book that flight. That is not an advocacy place. Where you will do your advocacy is not when you now book that airline and shout at the airport. It may not help. Advocacy would be with the right persons, the right stakeholders. So what am I saying? The challenge I see that a lot of persons with disabilities sometimes have is that lack of planning, and then the second one is lack of information. Lack of information. So for example, you may want to ask for assistive services before you travel, not when you get to the airport. So there are some things that you need to actually do for your journey to be smooth. And yes, it is true that from my experience of travel, it is actually easier to travel across country to different countries than within country. I can travel anywhere. I've gone to many countries on my own without fear. But when we now travel in states in this country, we say, Father, help me. A prayer of our systems. So I see that as an issue, and I just wanted to bring that because sometimes we don't know that we do have a responsibility to kind of play with respect to planning. And finally, the challenge I see on the other end is poor infrastructure, and lack of handling protocols when it comes to persons with disabilities. There is some ITK spirit that comes from our charity spirit that can be very misplaced when they grab you in the wrong places. They want to help you to sit on the plane, and then somebody's now doing touches, and then you're like, somebody will now not want to shout. I'll be like, if you touch me, bros, something will happen. This plane. So all those things come up. I've seen that as a challenge, manhandling of passengers. So just a few challenges. There are more, but let me stop there.
Okay. Wow. I think it would be good if we could have in the video of that slight procedures, because some people don't actually know. They just feel, oh, they are just grateful to get help. So even if the person is grabbing the wrong part of your anatomy, as long as they are helping me, no wahala. And one other thing I would like to add is that I think it has to do with, beliefs and stereotypes surrounding, persons with disabilities, and then gender discrimination, because I've had a situation where, I went to the park to board a bus, and, they had this, unconventional and unwritten policy that women don't sit in the front of the vehicle. And and that was the only place that's the only place I am comfortable with, because it's easy to assist me into the vehicle and there's room for my feet. My feet won't be crushed. I won't be uncomfortable. So there are stereotypes and beliefs that often surround some of these challenges. All right, Tomisin, what are some challenges as a blind person? What would be some of the challenges that you would face?
Thank you very much, Afiel. I think I share that we as visually impaired, we also share that it's even worse when you are blind and then you are a woman, you want to sit in the front of a vehicle. The driver, it's an unspoken word amongst the drivers. They are all whispering, and then you can feel the whisper that, except that apart from the fact that she's a woman, she's also blind. So how do we cope and all of that? And as a visually impaired person, you also find challenges of fellow passengers this time around asking you, why are you traveling? You should be at home. Can't you send somebody? Must you go? I think that has to do with the societal orientation of disability and all of that. Also, you have the challenges of, should I call it fraud now, or people duping you? Okay, so when I initially got blind, I couldn't make out money. Sometimes you give the driver or the conductor, you give them 1,000 naira, they tell you it's 500 naira, or they give you a change that is lesser to what you should have received. And you're not with a human guy. You don't even have anybody that is friendly in the bus to be able to say, please let me look at this. So, but technology has really smiled on us. You now have apps that help you read your currency, that helps you determine what currency you are holding. So if you are traveling, that might be one thing you should have on your device, on your phone precisely. So you can quickly check whatever amount of money you are giving to whoever, and then you can ascertain if they are giving you change. So I think that's another huge challenge, because I remember that when I get home, I'll be counting my money, it won't be complete. And so in my mind, instead of me giving this man 200, I give him 1,000, and then he's not truthful enough to say, oh, you're giving me 1,000 naira. So I think that's another major challenge in solution right there.
All right, thank you. But from everything everyone has said, I think one of the underlying message is information. Do as much as you can, and then when those unexpected incidences come, you're better equipped to handle them. Frankie, you want to say something?
Yes, I do. And I must say it's an opportunity. A major challenge is accommodation. Hotel doors, room door. I just had to point that out because it has been a nightmare in too many. Hey, Father Lord. Of Ghana to 1 a.m. looking for where to sleep. I have roamed this looking because of door that could not fit wheelchair. So I said, it's a challenge. I cannot shout. Let me shout. I cannot shout. They'll now say, hey, don't worry. If you need help, call me. Call the reception.
As in, so that they will carry you like sack of rice over the threshold.
Yeah. You want to come and carry me inside the bath? Why can't I just be on my...
No, it is that door thing. Sometimes, even when the main entrance is accessible, the bathroom door is now made for, I don't know what size of people. Yeah. You can't just get in. It's as if there's a conspiracy to frustrate. I don't know. It's bad. It really is. There's still a long way for education and advocacy, but like I said, information is key. You call ahead, get informed, even though, yes, sometimes they will lie to you and tell you, don't worry, just come, it's okay. But ask them, insist, specify your needs so that they know. So we see mention fraud. That's one of the things we have heard a lot of, even people without disabilities. We have heard a lot of some horror stories about what people encounter when they travel. So what are some safety tips women with disabilities should, have at the back, just have at the tip of their fingers and know that this is what I should do from the moment you step outside of your house?
Okay. What I usually do, I think I would say first thing I do first is I say a word of prayer. God should take control. Then you check your environment, because most times people always want to help us and carry our things. If I carry my bag or carry something, I'll tell you, please don't walk faster than me. Walk by my side, endure, just help me. So if you're walking faster, I call your attention back. Let's walk hand to hand. Then I try to talk less so that you can observe the environment. Don't talk, don't over excited and gist away everything that you will not watch when things might be going wrong. So talk less, read the sign posts on the walls as you're going, be reading at things that don't go and move here. So that you conscious of your environment. Pray before you go out. Those are helping you. Make sure they don't walk faster than you. Be at the same length. Try and put a disclosure whereby they are flowing with you and you're observing them. Observe your environment and read whatever post is on the wall or as you're going. Thank you.
All right, security consciousness. That's one thing. In fact, it's something that it's a pet peeve of mine, because you see people walking on the road, they are buried in their phones. They don't even know what's happening around them. I don't. For me, it's a no. If I'm going somewhere, my eyes are everywhere. I'm taking note of, landmarks. I'm noting, okay, we passed this place. We saw this place before we got here. Especially if it's a long distance journey, I am taking note of landmarks. I am noting where we are going, so that in case there's any wrong movement, you have to be security conscious. And then, make sure that there's somebody you can reach at a moment's notice if something goes wrong. Plan ahead. You're not praying that something will happen, but anticipate that if this happens, this is what I can do to help myself. Okay, so Kelechi, let me hand over to you. Safety tips.
Yes, okay, of course, your phone needs to be on at all times if possible. And if not, if you have one phone, you should carry your power bank. Then, of course, you need to also have a Google Map. Like, it needs to be very active. You need to have the internet so that wherever you're going to, you can check your map to be sure that you're going through the right direction. Then, what else? Of course, if you are within the country, you have families and friends that you can always share your location with, and you give them information every step of the way. And what else? Okay, yes, then of course, if you are not in the country, if you go to other countries, you let the embassy know that you're around. That should probably be your first point of visit. So let them know that, you as a Nigerian, you're visiting. And you check out for emergency call numbers. I think every state has. So who knows? One of them, even though we don't trust our country, we could just try to have the numbers.
Thank you very much. That thing you said about making sure your phone is, always your battery, you have power in your phone and you're able to reach out.
Because I have a safety tip. It's when you travel and you go into, you let's say you're lodging in a hotel. You want to check that, especially if you're alone, you want to check that you have ease of moving around and that you have an exit strategy should anything happen. You want to actively do that. So you don't want it where something happens and then you cannot be evacuated, or you cannot leave, or you don't have a way of getting out of that space. So always try to see that you're in a place where if anything happens, you're able to exit. So if you go to a hotel and you watch and you see that their lift is questionable, just ask them if they have ground floor rooms. Just avoid things that will, just if you're staying for long. And another thing is, if you're on a wheelchair and then you are not strong with transfers, if you're traveling alone and you want to avoid high beds, you will, and so I don't fall, because if you're alone in a room and you fall, it's terrible. So you want to be careful of water. You want to be careful of a lot of things within your space, because you're not in your regular space. So you want to avoid domestic accidents. So you need to really watch the room they give you, and feel free to explore different rooms till you are comfortable with a room when you travel. So don't say, oh, they gave me room 1-1, so it's that one. No, you can ask to see other room options and then pick where you would be best for you. So I said I should mention that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That tip is very, very, it's a great tip, because I've actually had situations where I've stayed in a hotel room, and the bed was like I was climbing Kilimanjaro. If I didn't have, upper body strength, and I'm used to transferring even over difficult surfaces, I would have heard another story by now, but God forbid. Like she said, make sure your environment suits you. Make sure your environment is something you can easily navigate. And then another thing, when it comes to the room where you're staying, make sure your locks are secure. So check your locks, make sure it cannot be accessed by anyone else except you once you get in there. All right. So thank you so much for that tip. It's really, really important. So now we go to the stories. This is the fun part. Story. Everybody now, you cannot be answering. Story. Okay. Once upon a time, a girl was traveling. And then what happened? Let me see. What was your worst travel memory?
First, okay.
What's your best? No, you give us one story. Well, let's keep it brief. Your worst travel memory and your best travel memory.
A worst travel experience I've had, was during my National Youth Service Corps. So I was posted to Sokoto from Ogun State, and I needed to travel down there for my 3 weeks orientation. I traveled when going by road. Yeah, other than the very dangerous turns, on the Nigerian roads, it was fun because basically we had students all in the vehicle, and then, it was fun to a fault, really. It was interesting. So on my return journey, and then I decided to spend out of that alawi they've given me to say, okay, let me go take a flight. I mean, we had stories of robbers on the highway, and so I didn't want to take that risk when returning. So I had to come back by flight, and the airline I booked my ticket with, the popular letter D airline, refused me on board. In fact, I didn't even know then. I didn't know because it was far back 2018. I didn't really bother to check up what it was, their travel policy and all of that. I didn't check it up. I just booked my ticket, and then I showed up at the airport, only for them to deny me. And this was we left the orientation camp around past 6. I got to the airport 7:30, and my flight was due for 8:30, I guess. Yeah, I think 8:30. And the policy about NYSC camp, as soon as you're done with your orientation, you are out of their care. You can't come back and say you want to lodge, except you can, just. And so I was confused because I'm in the middle of a northern state, and my families are worried, sick at home. I myself am so afraid, left all alone without no protection. I'm out of the army barracks, and so whatever it is I'm doing out there, a person with disability, I do not have an understanding of the Hausa language. I'm on my own. And, my flight was refused. At some point, they said my money to be refunded would take 7 working days. And I'm like, am I going to be here for another 7 working days? I don't understand. Where do you want me to sleep? So I had to create a little bit of scene. We had to do a little bit of drama, shouting, screaming, and all of that. And somehow they found a way to refund my money. And right there and then, I booked another ticket with another airline that, had approached that I shouldn't worry, they will take me. Now, this is not a direct flight to Lagos. It now have to connect with Abuja, and then from Abuja, they pick more passengers, and then we go straight to Lagos. So it was a whole lot for me back then. That experience is something I wouldn't want it to happen again, especially because of the language barrier and a whole lot of other things, time constraints. I didn't have anywhere to turn to or anybody to come in for me and all. So that was a travel experience that was really, really traumatic for me. And an exciting one I had, It's also by road. I had to leave from Lagos to Abuja by road. And it was a whole lot of fun because one of the things that made it really enjoyable for me was because my fare was later refunded by the driver, because he enjoyed our company, and then he was like, I want to refund somebody's travel allowance here. And I was the first person to talk. It was fun, really. We had drops. Even as a blind person, you can feel the aura around you. We had to come down to eat, to ease ourselves, to go into shops. So for me, it was fun. I wish Nigerian road would go back to those glory days and do more road travels again. It was really, really. Thank you.
Yay, road trip. Who wants to go? Wow.
Not right now.
For the good and the bad. Okay. All right. Osaki, this one you're smiling. How was your trip to Canada? Tell us your best and worst road trip. Try and summarize it.
All right. Thank you very much. I think fortunately I've not really had any issues when it comes to traveling. Mine was at a hotel. What happened was that I don't know what happened. In one of the hotels somewhere in Nigeria, I lodged. Everything was okay. And I woke up in the middle of the night, let's say almost 12:01, and I saw two couples in the room. What? As in, it was even they are shocked. I don't know what they are saying. They even woke me up from sleep. Like, what? And you're like, where am I? They were just entering the room. I'm like, what's happened? What are you putting in? Even then, they were even shocked to see me in the room. So it was a lot of noise. And I'm like, what's happening here? They had to like, sorry. I said, what do you mean? And it's like a 5-star hotel. It's not even a joke with electronic card and everything. So it's not even like a small hotel. One of those, I think, carelessness from the receptionist or whatever. So the next morning, I reported the matter. I was so mad. They pleaded, blah, blah, blah. Fortunately, I had a friend in that hotel that worked there. I called her. I said, what do you mean by this? She said, okay, let her see what they can do. They have to apologize and all the rest. Though it was not, I was going for a training. So the training, they prepared all of that. But I had to make them know that was a very expensive mistake of mixing room keys, you understand, room cards and all the rest. So that was that. Then one of the best one I had was when I first had a flight to Lagos, I think. So I first used the plane. It was in a sweet one, compared by the company, just to have fun, lecture. We had every good thing you can think of in life, had a good resting place, and that was a very memorable one. I think I enjoyed myself. Thank you.
It's like eating the way your teeth there. I can count all your 32. It is sweet, right? But that other horror movie, nobody should try me with that. So waking up in the night and see people in your room, which kind of horror movie? Frankie, I beg you, have horror movie share. Nobody should try me. Okay. Jesus.
Don't buy the gas. Why did you buy that gas? Oh my God. So I can't say because I've had many. I don't know whether they decided I'll be the ambassador of bad flight experiences. Very many. They said in Nigeria to do flight.
Okay, take the worst of the worst of the worsts.
Yeah, so is it the one that was carried into the plane, and then the captain himself came down and said, if I'm traveling alone, the plane will not go? Is it today that they say he came out from his cockpit and say, why am I traveling alone? I say, sir, your own is it not to fly plane in this Nigeria? Won't you enter inside their cockpit and fly the plane? How is my seat sitting down in the chair worrying you? The guy refused. Or is it the one that they delayed our flight after we had been there since morning, and then when it was now time to go, still Nigerian flight, we were about to carry, and then this one was now, I don't even know whether it's some manager, some person that had clouds now came and was shouting that, why am I traveling alone? That didn't the other staff see me that I'm traveling alone? And me, I now said, okay, it's a beautiful day and a beautiful night, because it was already night. And I was like, this stairway to this airplane is therefore blocked. I travel not, nobody traveled. So that's saying, or is it the one that mid-flight, like I had many stops. So on one of the stops, I hadn't reached my destination. They pulled me and my mom out of the line and said, oh, that they do not fly wheelchair passengers. And then there was the issue of, are we supposed to go front or go back or where? Because this is not where I'm supposed to go. And then it now turned to a huge mighty thing, and then we're there in that location for 2 weeks, and we turned it to advocacy story. Another country.
Okay, please tell us the good ones. I'm begging you. The horror stories are plenty. Tell us the good ones.
Or you see the one that somebody will see you, fine girl like you, and I'll be asking you for medical reports. Is it today? So leave flight travel. I'm just trying to say that if you want to travel, you have to have liver and have chest and have, I don't know, muscles. So that when somebody you in a label, in a box, because when they think of disability, they think of medical, they think of sick, they think of ill, so that you're able to rebut that person in a way that the person understands that I'm going on a business trip, I'm going on a holiday, and the person is able to correct themselves. So the experiences have been many. I can't even say. Now, enjoyment experience, let's leave suffer. Nigerian travel, all has been plenty suffer, but I will still travel. I don't care. I know how many. There was one particular one. I bought almost 2 tickets. Leave matter. Let's leave it. Thank God they refunded them all. But on a particular day, I bought one. It did not work. Bought another one. It did not work until I bought the third one before I traveled. Thank God they refunded them all. So trust me, traveling is fun, but wow. So enjoyment travel. I still remember one time, which one now? When I was coming back from which country? So they insisted, or we didn't do economy. So we now did the, in glory.
Oh my God. Upgrade.
Oh, wow. It was amazing.
Oh my God. Did they give you champagne? Was it champagne?
Yeah, that was an awesome flight. I remember another one. I think I can't remember. No, I think that was South Africa. That one I was even alone. That particular one I was alone. So, and I think it was the same business class kind of thing. So we're there, awesome flight. So really, I really enjoy traveling outside of the shores because somebody know what to do. So they'll be waiting for you. You just be cruising. So yeah.
Oh my God, let's start walking. Oh my God, help us to Kelechi. Please share one horror story and one romantic story for us. Can you do?
Great experiences, flight experiences, and yeah. So many travel challenges, but at the same time, just don't allow them to stop you from going.
Yes,
I talked about yes, is it accommodation? That's a whole conversation by itself. So let's leave matter. It's not easy. Sometimes you actually call the hotel and you explain everything. They'll tell you, don't worry. We know. You now get there. They don't know.
All right. So thank you. Kelechi, please share one horror story and one romantic one, please. Maybe you start with the romantic. The horror story is making fire catch in my head. Unmute, you're muted.
Oh, there. Okay, like this, I didn't have a lot of horror stories when I was on crutches, okay? So when people on the wheelchair used to make complaints, I didn't quite understand until I started using the wheelchair due to deterioration of my condition. And then I realized that, okay, so that was when I started having these bad experiences, okay? So even though we all live with disabilities, we all are facing the world in different ways, okay? So one bad experience, I've got loads of them, like Frankie said. But one I would remember is when I flew to the north for the first time. I was posted to Katsina for NYSC, and then I flew to Kano. When I got to Kano, nobody attended to me. In fact, I was with my big box. Luckily, I was able to get COP members who came to help me carry my things. So imagine being on a wheelchair and everybody's looking at you. You don't even know who to talk to because there is no one available to talk with. Okay, so that was one horrible experience. And of course, flying with Dana. I don't know, we can't go there. Now, one good experience, I think just like Osaki said, my flight in Lagos, there's just this good thing about being welcomed when you just get into Lagos, even from everywhere. You're like home. For me, Lagos is home. So when I get home, there's this hospitality when they are coming to get me, the way they take care of me. Okay. So like I said, the experiences are, a lot, but these are the few I can share now. And my battery is low, so I need to run away. I've got 3%.
Thank you.
I love
it was
you
good
all.
to have
I love
you. Thank you.
I have to leave you now.
No wahala. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. So for me, one of the stories, my own horror story was I think when I went on I think one of those times I traveled by air, and I think one of the things that happened was that I came in, although most times people have usually been helpful, no stress, is this issue of, I think it was at, was it Calabar Airport or so? I can't remember. This issue of actually boarding. You will, usually they will board the person with disability first. You will get on the plane first before all the other passengers. So when you get there, that is when they start scratching their head and thinking of, okay, how are we carrying? Are we carrying her legs first or her head, or which side are we holding? And those kind of things. And then, there was a situation where another one is, road trip, buses, AKTC, those people. Frankly, there's a reason why I don't come to Port Harcourt. Because those people, I always pay for 2 seats, and then they will find I'll pay for 2 seats. I will pay for 2 seats, and they will find a way to and then they will come and be asking me, who has this thing? Who has this thing? The 2 seats is so that my wheelchair can fit in. And then the person will now load, people will carry load that requires them to pay for more than 1 seat. They will now fill up everywhere. Then they will now be looking for where to squeeze in my wheelchair, me that paid for 2 seats. In other instances, I've actually boarded a vehicle and then, maybe a plane. I remember that particular one. From the time I got down, there was a shuttle bus that came. I could, just wheel myself inside, get to the terminal, and then somebody was there to assist me, help me get a taxi, and I was able to get to where I needed to. I was going to Lagos then from Calabar. So this travel matter is not a small thing, but I am glad that we have been able to talk about it. And I'm sure someone out there can relate to some of these stories. And also, if please send in your comments. So we need to hear your own horror movie and romantic story. Send in your comments so that we can also share. People will hear and know that, it's not only me. Whatever your type of disability, send in your stories. We would love to hear them. And, ladies, thank you so, so much. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of our program today and we need to go. So I want to say thank you to my fellow passengers for staying till the end of the trip. I believe this has been a fun trip. And I'd like to say thank you to our online passengers who joined us on this trip. We appreciate your presence. And, future passengers and, partners, thank you. We look forward to your sponsorship and, partnership with us to ensure that we can keep coming your way with this, pertinent information. So until we come your way next time, next week, Saturday by 10:30 a.m., please stay tuned. Don't miss out. 10:30 a.m. every Saturday we are here. So join us, and most importantly, help us spread this message far and wide on all social media platforms. You can reach out to us, check out our Facebook page, check out our Bold Heart Initiative, check out our YouTube page. We have Bold TV on YouTube. And then you can reach out to us. The email address will be scrolling on your screen, and you can reach out to us if you have questions, comments, or maybe even if you need us to help you make noise about an injustice, we can help out. So thank you so much for coming our way and for, staying with us. So ladies, before we park the vehicle, please unmute your microphones and let's say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, ladies, let's unmute our microphone. Bye. Oh, our new co-host just joined. Hey, young lady. Our new co-host just joined. Bye.
This is Bold TV.